Hi, I'm David Leese from Avant Consulting. I was talking to a senior executive a few days ago, and she said, David, I know Avant Consulting does valuation strategies for companies. My concern is I've seen lots of good strategies. I've done lots of good strategies over time, but the strategies tend to stall out. You know, we get started with them and then they just kind of fizzle out. Nobody takes a look at the strategy. And I said, that's exactly right. Most strategies, a valuation strategy is no different than a strategic plan in that respect, right? Unless you have thought out the implementation of that strategy at least as well as you thought out doing the strategy, then the question is, why even bother, right? So when Avant Consulting does a valuation strategy, it's rigorous. If you know anything about what we do, obviously one of the major components of what we do is determining what the valuation drivers are, those 4 or 5 things that contribute 80 to 90% of the valuation of a company in the marketplace. We also have our own dashboard, we call it an investability index, and we'll get into that later. But when you're looking at improving that valuation over time, what's really critical is, yes, identify those valuation drivers, but then it's really critical to begin to identify what are the goals associated with each of those valuation drivers. And you want to identify goals that are specific and have a measurable outcome. And then what you begin to do is think about identifying who's responsible for implementing those goals over a long period of time and what are the metrics. So, and that's a part of it, is defining what are the goals and what are the metrics and who's responsible for doing that. And then on top of that, we go a step further than that. We begin to then ask some fairly hard questions like, okay, what are the resources, human and financial, that are required to do this? And let's go rationalize all of those resources requirements, all those resource requirements against the budget. That's the human budget and the financial budget, right? So once we've done that, then we'll begin to charter these implementation teams. And you know what? What's different about a strategic plan versus a valuation strategy is a strategic plan will take a long period of time to do as well. It could take 2 or 3 years to implement a strategic plan. However, if you're talking about a valuation strategy, you're really talking about a change in culture. So it's not that people are going to be off doing a valuation strategy separate from their jobs. The valuation strategy is their job. It's a change in culture. And so they're doing that, but it's being measured. And what's really interesting is when you do it, when you have put so much time and effort into identifying the drivers, the goals with metrics, the outcomes, the duration of time, the resources required, and the valuation team, now you have, the implementation team, now you're beginning to change culture in a very good way. And then it's up to the people who are driving each one of those goals and implementing each one of those goals to begin to report to management on a consistent basis how they're doing with what those goals are. And it's in their areas of competence. When you begin to do that, and you do that on a consistent basis, now you're changing the culture. So the whole company begins to look at what's the outcome, what's the valuation of the company, and how are we progressing and how are we growing. We'll talk later about some incentives to improve valuations. If you're looking for more information on how to improve valuations, go on over to avantconsulting.com. See you there. Thank you. Bye.